Welcome to your second stimulus check and stimulus update for Sunday, December 20th. There is a ton of confusion and misinformation going around this afternoon, so I just decided to go ahead and make a second update video today just to clear up any confusion and let you know exactly where Congress is at with the likely to be passed stimulus bill. There's some exciting stuff going around, but let's just get the information completely straight. So a lot happened this afternoon and this morning, and as I'm recording this, Congress is still in session talking about all these things. So there's definitely some things that'll be changed, but I'm going to try and speak on the most definite as to what we can expect. So to clear up the first piece of confusion, as of right now, the stimulus bill has not been passed. Don't believe any clickbait titles telling you there are checks as of yet, or anything definitive as of right now. Here's what needs to happen first before a stimulus bill even gets voted in. First, final negotiations need to be agreed upon. Yeah, we don't even have all the negotiations completely straight on a bill, yet even a vote on that bill. So the things that they're working on still right now are the amount of funding to go to food stamps. That's still being debated. I'm not sure why, because that is so small relative to the complete package size, and it's literally people who are the most in need. And studies have shown in the past that funding food stamps is actually the number one way to stimulate the economy because that money gets spent almost immediately. It's like I said, it's the people who are most in need. And it is one of the types of funding that is really easy to get out because people already have their food stamp cards and we can just put more money on it really quickly. Another one of the main areas of disagreement was a solution for the Main Street lending program, and we kind of have a solution here. We do have a solution that appeases both sides, but lawmakers have not released the exact text on this agreement. So once that text is released, other lawmakers will need to look over it and ask questions about the text, maybe make suggestions. We might not be completely done yet with where they're at on the Main Street lending program. Even though we have some people who are agreeing on it, they're like, okay, yep, it all checks out. Both sides are agreed. The main issue was they don't want funding going to state and local governments because that was part of the negotiations in exchange for the liability protections. But all other lawmakers will still have a chance to question these things, and there might be some changes made. So that's the biggest holdup that I'm concerned about. But after negotiations, in order to get the bill passed, a complete bill text will then need to be released to lawmakers. And if you've looked at any of these bill texts, they are extremely long. This one's going to be looking at around 600 pages at least. So that needs to be released to lawmakers, and then the same process happens where they can question or make suggestions, but yet we're expecting them to receive a 600 plus page text today and then vote on it tonight. That just doesn't seem reasonable. It doesn't even seem reasonable to try and do that tomorrow, but this is what we're expecting right now. So that seems a little bit absurd, but honestly, that has happened in the past. It's just another concern of mine. And then from there, if that all checks out, the bill will then go to the House first to vote, and they will likely pass it, and then it'll go to the Senate, and then the president will give final approval on the bill. Now, there have also been some hints that the president may cause another hurdle as Trump has been pushing for a $2,000 stimulus check. Now, it is reported that his aides have kind of talked him out of this, but of course, nothing is set in stone because he can change his mind. He's been dead set on things in the past. He's made last minute demands in the past. And we're just on a very, very delicate balance here where we have 8 or 9 months of negotiations all coming together on a few just hairline details that could easily be thrown out of whack and send us into another month or two later into stimulus negotiations. I don't want to be the doomsayer here. I'm just trying to be as realistic as possible. So don't be mad at me because I'm not saying it's absolutely passed. I'm not clickbaiting you. I'm just trying to give a realistic picture. I've been obviously looking at this for months and months on end, so I have a pretty good idea as to how things flow. Now, here's what we do have an agreement on. There will be stimulus checks in this bill, but the nitty-gritty details of the checks might frustrate people. It's unlikely that we're going to see a check larger than $600 at this point, unless somehow Josh Hawley and Bernie Sanders have something up their sleeves that we don't know about. It's likely going to be $600. The check will have the same income limits as the first time around, so we're looking at up to $75,000 a year for single filers, $150,000 a year for joint filers, and over those amounts, the check will just scale down in size. Now, there is a very recent unfortunate update here as of literally this afternoon. it is very unlikely that adult dependents will receive a stimulus check as well. Now, this is really frustrating because the last few weeks we've been hearing, yes, adult dependents will receive these, and there are just so many edge cases within that adult dependent category that it just causes a lot of problems. You think about someone who is a caregiver for an adult parent or maybe a disabled adult, and they're not going to receive any additional stimulus for being a caregiver for that adult, even though they're giving just as much or more care than you would to a child. Child dependents will still get $600 per dependent with no dependent cap. So if you have a family of 4, you're looking at $2,400 for that family. Now, one good change here is families where one person isn't a citizen will actually receive checks this time around, as of right now. This, of course, is if things are passed as is. We don't have the final bill text yet either, but this is what they're saying in negotiations right now in Congress. The Paycheck Protection has also come up in negotiations today, and we haven't really heard much about this recently because both sides kind of have a consensus like we should do another round of Paycheck Protection. But there is a debate as to whether businesses that receive Paycheck Protection loans will be able to deduct costs covered by that first Paycheck Protection loan on their taxes. Now, this is extremely important as it would result in thousands of dollars in tax savings to business owners. Here's how it works. So we got that first round of Paycheck Protection funding, and they said this is forgivable and it won't count as income on your taxes. So you won't pay taxes on the amount that's forgiven. But then the IRS later said, yeah, you won't pay taxes on what's forgiven, but you will have to pay taxes on what it's spent on. So let's say you received a $50,000 Paycheck Protection loan. It's forgiven. That doesn't count as income, but the $50,000 of things you spent it on, like payroll or supplies that you need that normally would be tax deductible, aren't anymore. So you still have to pay taxes on that $50,000. So it's kind of the same thing as calling it income. It's just a backwards way of doing it. And the problem is, if you allow it as a deduction, it's technically double dipping tax-wise, but looking at it as through the eyes of struggling small business owners, it's like just allow the double dipping because these business owners are having such a hard time surviving anyways. Why give them an extra tax burden? It just doesn't make sense to not allow the double dipping. I think a lot of our senators and House members are behind this. And really was the IRS that later said, hey, there's nothing expressed in the CARES Act that says how this should be dealt with. So they did it the IRS way. So I really hope to see a solution there. And there's another disappointing change that we've seen this afternoon as well. And that is in unemployment boost. We're still looking at $300 per week, but the total number of weeks has decreased to 11 weeks. It was up as high as 16 weeks. So that's a very significant difference in the amount of relief that people can expect to receive through that. Now the question is whether this can actually be realistically passed today. Now, most of the leaders want this to happen. Pelosi has said she is really pushing for this to happen today. I think they're trying really hard for it to happen, but it's far from certain that that might happen. If it does happen today, it'll be late today, but I think more realistically, it'll happen tomorrow. In order to do that, in order to push it to tomorrow, they're going to have to vote and pass another continued resolution to fund the government for another 24 or 48 hours to then work on this bill tomorrow. And I just hope that doesn't lead to another, hey, we're going to extend it for 2 days, and then 2 days come and they're like, well, we need another 2 days. And then eventually it's Christmas and they're deep in the recess and they're like, we'll do it when we get back. I just sincerely hope that that doesn't happen. I don't think it will. I think overall we can actually realistically expect this to happen quickly. It's just now is the time frame, 12 hours from now, or is it 48, 60 hours from now? One thing is guaranteed though, you can receive 4 free stocks with Webull through my link in the description. I know I've said this so many times. If you haven't checked it out, now is the time to do it. This deal only runs through the end of the month. It's super simple. You deposit $100 in your account, you get 4 completely free stocks. You don't even have to spend the $100. Look at it like a guaranteed stimulus check. I've done it. All my friends have done it. It's a pretty awesome deal. But regarding stimulus, this is all we have for now. I really hope that my next update brings the good news that we're all hoping for, and I hope you can enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.